Thunderbolts versus Suicide Squad. That's right, sometimes the heroes just can't get the job done, and you need to send in some villains to do the dirty work. Welcome to OTR Debate, the podcast where three lawyers debate the nerdiest questions while still bringing it back to the law. And tonight we're debating a couple of comics teams of miscreants and anti-heroes, Thunderbolts and the Suicide Squad. So, Orlando, you have the Thunderbolts, correct?
I do, yeah.
And what do you do?
I'm a prosecutor.
And you have...
I have the Suicide Squad, and I work in legislation.
Fabulous. I'm Mucci. I'll be your judge tonight. And before we start the debate, let's check the procedural history to see how we got here. So, Andy, roll the tape.
You guys want to watch Thunderbolts?
The one with 11 from Stranger Things? I heard it was overrated. Let's go see How to Train Your Dragon instead.
What? No, that's her Russian dad. And How to Train Your Dragon. I'm not a child.
Then why are you suggesting we watch a superhero movie? It's just a knockoff of Suicide Squad anyway, but just no John Cena.
Knockoff? Are you blitzed out of your fucking mind right now? Where are you?
I'm the opposite of blitzed. I'm so teetotally clear-headed right now, you can't see me. Listen, this conversation is not worth dying over. We're not seeing Thunderbolts. End of conversation.
Dying? What are you talking about? And yes, we are watching it. I'm going to kidnap you, throw a bag over your head, place you in the trunk, buy your ticket, sit you in the theater, tie you to the chair, and take that fucking bag off.
Andy, are you with Lando right now? He's kind of being a dick.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Mucci, back me up here. Where are you?
But after hearing that, if you, at home, think you can relate to these two millennial nerds, then Hulk smash that subscribe button.
There you go. Love the commitment.
Now pretend, for the first question, I haven't been into comics since I was 7 and I'm just a normal guy who likes movies and TV. What is the impetus for getting all these villains from the other comic book movies and TV series together on a team? Like, who puts the team together and what are they made to accomplish in these movies?
Okay. So I'll start... but I'm not going to pretend you don't like comics. I'm going to pretend that you do, because the Thunderbolts haven't made their on-screen debut yet, or as of this record, I should say, because we're recording before Thunderbolts comes out. So I'm going to take you to 1997.
All right, not live yet as of this record.
The 1997, The Incredible Hulk, issue 449, created by writer Kurt Busiek and artist Mark Bagley. Okay, so 1997 to 2003, the original run. Baron Zemo, who we have seen on screen in the Captain America Civil War.
Okay.
Right, he was prominent in that. Wears in the comics, and I think they might have shown him in the movie, wears like a purple mask. And in the movie, he's really pissed off because the Avengers, kind of mess with his homeland and his I think they killed his family incidentally in the second Avengers movie, Slovakia, which I think is an actual real country.
Rostovia or something.
Something made up because it wasn't actually. It wasn't a real country.
Sokovia.
Yeah.
The Sokovia Accords and everything. Mm-hmm. So the Avengers accidentally kill his family, not them themselves, but because of all the destruction. Yeah. And really, they were trying to save the place. So I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. But he is the person that starts the Thunderbolts or Secret Avengers in the comics. Basically, he just gathers a group of villains pretending to be superheroes after the Avengers and the Fantastic Four are thought to have been killed in this confrontation with the villain Onslaught in a 1996 issue where basically they all sacrifice themselves to stop a second sun from destroying New York. So Zemo collects these supervillains to be like, hey, let's pretend to be these Avengers while they're gone. We're going to start this new world order. We're going to run things now, and we are going to steal government secrets. So that was the purpose of the original group. Mm-hmm. Since then, Avengers aren't dead. Fantastic Four aren't dead. So that initial team of these villains, these actual bad guys, coined Masters of Evil, Baron Zemo, his bodyguard Goliath, who takes on the name Atlas, Baron Zemo being Citizen V, Beetle, who then kind of converts and becomes Mach 1 through like all the way to 10 or something. I don't know. It's like Mach 1, 2, 3. 4. It's weird. Fixer, who goes by Techno, Screaming Mimi goes by Songbird, and Moonstone, who goes by Meteorite.
Okay.
If you don't know who these people are, you're in
Not
the
alone.
majority,
Yeah.
because I mean they're all like D-list characters. It seems. I like that MCU sometimes brings out characters that aren't as well known. Like Iron Man wasn't as well known when
Right.
they first started the MCU, and look how successful that was. So
He's like the most known.
yeah, exactly. Well, Spider-Man. I mean, but he's very popular,
Right.
and so Baron Zemo was the creator of the initial Thunderbolts or Secret Avengers in the comics, and most of them have not appeared in the MCU. So, Thunderbolts movie that's coming out contains none of these people, it seems like, but it's also a team up that hasn't happened exactly the same in the comics, and really it's more of a the later adaptation of the Thunderbolts or Secret or Dark Avengers, where they are a government, like kind of like a government, not a government agency, not a government. They're a government group funded, I suppose, kind of secret organization through the CIA.
Right.
And they are formed by Elaine from Seinfeld.
Yeah. Oh, Laney.
Jerry just comes out at the end of the movie.
Did Kramer
Laney.
form the Suicide Squad?
No, actually, the Suicide Squad is mostly controlled by Amanda Waller. So backing up a little bit, I myself was just a chill guy, not into comics much growing up. So my exposure to Suicide Squad obviously is from the more modern DC Universe films. And really, I should just say film, because I've only seen the Suicide Squad. I haven't seen the first iteration or attempt, I guess I should say, of Suicide Squad.
That's why you think Suicide Squad is better than Thunderbolts.
Well, I did watch many a recap YouTube video about the first film, and it doesn't look too bad. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, the Suicide Squad, or also known as Task Force X, was created in 1959. They made their first appearance in a comic called The Brave and the Bold. And the second kind of revamp of that modern version was in 1987 in Legends comic book. So basically, this team is a bunch of reformed or incarcerated felons who are given choices, basically, to participate in these like high-risk covert operations in exchange for like shortened sentences, commuted sentences, or even freedom in some cases.
I think that's kind of the difference between our two groups, because that's very much, I mean, they're very similar, and that's why we're doing this debate, right? Like the Suicide Squad, Thunderbolts, very similar, at least in the later adaptations where it's anti-heroes that are in Marvel universe. But that is kind of the difference.
It's kind of like the leverage for them joining.
Right.
Yeah. And so once they do commit, they are implanted with these bombs in the back of their head. So they, again, have another choice, is to continue participating in these operations or basically get the death penalty, which does happen to some of them. And so I think that's kind of where the nickname Suicide Squad comes from.
Did it happen in because I understand, from my understanding, the original movie was PG-13 and the James Gunn ones are. In the original one, did like their heads blow up and stuff in the 2016?
I don't believe so. And if they were not in any of the recap videos that I watched about the first movie.
But comment and let us know if he's completely wrong.
But to my knowledge,
I
don't
imagine
think
that's.
so.
I mean, it didn't
more
happen to Will
gory than
Smith.
Right. Yeah, I didn't. I don't know that one. Because in the James Gunn one made. Like it seems like they start out with a lot more of them, and then a lot of them end up dying that way.
Yeah.
Although
Sort of brutally.
I do remember Will Smith's character having that little tracker thing, and then when he tried to leave, like he was trying to leave the mission, he just got slapped in the face really fucking hard.
I know.
So he knew what it felt like when he did it a few years later.
Right.
I do know the bombs were removed in some cases at the end of the first movie, but
Okay,
I'm not
okay.
aware of any explosions
Yeah.
from those bombs. But anyway, as I mentioned earlier, the leader of this group, Amanda Waller, she's a kind of morally ambiguous character. She's kind of calculating and ruthless in when it comes to getting these missions done. And this is on behalf of the government organization Argus, the Advanced Research Group Uniting Superhumans. And she kind of uses all of these, members of the team to kind of carry out missions that are too dangerous or too controversial for conventional forces, such as like superheroes or military. And the roster, over the last, 70 years, 60 years or so.
Yeah, close to 70, I guess.
Yeah. Has changed quite significantly with new members joining and old members leaving. But some of its best known members are obviously like Harley Quinn most recently, I think, was like the real big star. Getting kind of spin-offs of that too. Rick Flag, who is kind of the military operations guy. Captain Boomerang. You guys mentioned Will Smith, who was Deadshot. So just a bunch of people, very big cast and crew.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should take a recess now. For our recess segment this week, we're going to do Court Reporter Shorthand. Now, in court, the court reporter needs to take down a lot of information, everything that's being said, so they have to type very quickly, so they have a sort of shorthand to get these things typed in quickly. For us, it's kind of like a trivia-esque segment. Where
I will never learn how.
I don't know how they do. I literally don't know how they do it.
I can't even fathom how they do it.
Right.
So
I mean, they must have some kind of things like these acronyms that we're using here for this segment.
if you're a court reporter, comment below.
Let us know. Actually, that's really interesting. It's like a specific device they use.
Yeah, the stenograph.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has it looks like there's not enough buttons on that thing, but apparently the combination that they press makes it work.
Yeah. For our purposes, I'm going to ask you, we'll do two each, some acronyms or initialisms, whatever the term really is, and see if you can identify them. So who wants to go first?
I can go.
Okay. Your first acronym is TBATB.
TBATB. Oh, is this the first comic book that they appear in? The Suicide Squad, the Brave and the Bold?
Yeah. Not the Bold and the Beautiful.
Right.
So yes, exactly as you said.
Wow.
Where they first appeared in 1959. All right. Lando, your first is BHZ.
BHZ.
Mm-hmm.
BHZ. Baron Heimlich Zemo.
Close. You have the first and last name right. Baron Helmut Zemo. I didn't know you were going to mention him earlier, but Baron Helmut Zemo, as you mentioned. Yeah. Like
spelled like
Helmut. M-U-T, I guess. Helmut, maybe. Maybe you're
it's
closer.
Helmut.
Yeah. Okay. I never actually heard that name out loud. All right, and then your next one is TIH. Oh, I'm sorry. That's for Lando.
Okay.
We can do it. TIH. Yeah.
TIH.
Yeah.
The TIH. The Inspector Helmut.
No, I'm not doing the same person again. I don't know if he's an inspector. It's the Incredible Hulk. The team first
what the
appeared.
fuck? I just said that too.
Issue 449 in January 1997. And then how about FP?
FP.
Flapping.
Like Flash? Finger pointer? I don't know. I have no idea.
So, the co-creator or writer Robert Kanigher took the name from another comic series of the same name by an unknown writer from the Australian comic publishing company Frew Publications. That's with FP, Frew Publications.
Wow. Would not have gotten that at all.
Well, you still won. You had one. So
this is probably the
recess.
worst. This is probably the worst recess that we've had, where only 1 point was awarded
the entire time.
Good job, Wee.
Thank you.
All right, for question 2, let's talk team formation. Just give me a few, like who is the leader, the muscle, problem solver. You don't have to fill all these. Just some examples of things you can. The spy or the infiltrator.
Okay, I've got the MCU team, and I've got 2 of my favorites that I kind of want to run down.
All right.
So I could start, and then maybe we'll break it up. But for the MCU team, we have it's kind of like a rundown of some of the people that were in the Black Widow movie or have been kind of brought up because of that movie. So like one of the Black Widows, Yelena Belova, Florence Pugh, Bucky Barnes, Winter Soldier, characters in it. Red Guardian, who was in the Black Widow movie. He is Eleven's dad from Stranger Things. I know
He's
that.
also Yelena's and Scarlett's dad.
Correct. And he's the Red Guardian. He's kind of like the counterpoint to like Captain America and such. Ghost, who is a character that came out in, I believe it was Ant-Man, the second Ant-Man, so Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Okay.
She was like in the
phasing in and out kind of.
Yeah, she's like invisibility. She's like kind of, you can't touch her or whatever.
Not to be confused with Ghost Rider, right?
Right. Taskmaster, who also played a part in Black Widow as well, and John Walker, who was U.S. agent, the guy that was supposed to be the next Captain America, but he's kind of like an asshole.
Falcon the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, he was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So that's the team in the MCU. Like I said, most of them are kind of related to the Black Widow movie and those kind of characters. So they all have like this aspect of being spies, and they're just, like if this was like Pokemon, they'd be like the fighting type, They don't really have anybody that's got like these outlandish powers or anything. Mm-hmm. But one of my favorite team ups for the Thunderbolts, who does appear in the Captain America movie, the new Captain America movie that came out, the Red Hulk. So Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, who is, I think he's the president in that movie. Haven't seen it yet, but he's the president. In this lineup of the Thunderbolts named after him, he's the Red Hulk. He's kind of the leader. He's General Ross, leads that team. Agent Venom is on the team. Flash Thompson from Spider-Man, who is like Venom, but also has guns.
Yeah, it's this kind of thing. Like, why not in the movie? Like, that'd be so cool.
Right.
Make Venom cool again.
Right. Start wearing the hat.
VCA.
Start wearing the black hat. Elektra's on that team. Punisher's on that team.
Wow, okay.
Deadpool's on that team. Johnny Blaze, you had mentioned Ghost Rider, the original Ghost Rider's on the team. This is probably the heaviest of hitters on like Thunderbolts. Mm-hmm. I mean, these guys are all like, Venom alone's got, amazing powers and abilities and everything, mixed with the military background of Flash Thompson, Punisher, Deadpool. You can't even kill the Deadpool or the Red Hulk. So that's a really powerful team. But I think an interesting team that I've had known about, and I had read some of the comics. I didn't really go thoroughly in depth with them before, but there's a Dark Avengers run, Thunderbolts run, kind of run with Norman Osborn. Mm-hmm. So, Spider-Man's one of Spider-Man's main villains. His run included various people. So there's it was kind of broken up where he was in the head of the Thunderbolts. And this run was from 2008 to 2009. Christos Gage was a writer. Fernando Bianco was the artist on it. That team included some people that are not as well known, but the Black Widow, Yelena Belova, was in it. Ghost was in it. And Ant-Man, a different Ant-Man, Eric O'Grady, was in the team. Since then, like right after that, pretty much, the comic book run of the Secret Invasion, the Skrulls that take over the planet, and like they could turn into people and pretend to be people, and we saw that in the what's his name, Nick Fury show in the MCU.
Agents of Shield.
No, not Agents of Shield. He had his own show. Samuel Jackson had his own show where, basically, yeah.
I do not remember that.
I don't remember that either.
Wow. So I mean, no one does really, because no one saw it.
There's a lot going on. In the MCU.
So the Skrulls kind of invaded, and they took over the place because they could turn it into anybody, and they pretended to be several people. But basically, Osborn, as the leader of the Thunderbolts, joined in on the fight against them with the Avengers and everybody, and he ended up killing the Skrull Queen, which landed him good publicity because it happened like in front of the public, right? So another run from 2009 to 2013 where the Norman Osborn creates the Dark Avengers that consist of himself as the Iron Patriot, which we kind of saw already in one of the Iron Man movies. But that was Colonel Rhodes was in the Iron Patriot suit when he was protecting the president.
Okay.
Like the red, white, and blue Iron Man suit.
Right.
Basically, Green Goblin is the Iron Patriot. He then has one of his villains, pretending to be Spider-Man. There's a villain, Trickshot, pretending to be Hawkeye. Toxic Doxy, pretending to be Scarlet Witch. Superia as Miss Marvel, and Gorgon, this guy that
Toxic Doxy.
Yeah, these no-name people are pretending to be these like big name Avengers.
Okay,
maybe they'll come around in like phase 15 of the MCU, or something like that.
So Gorgon as Wolverine, which kind of makes sense given Gorgon's kind of like the way he is, just kind of like brutish. So yeah, I mean that seemed like an interesting one. I've always thought that the Green Goblin and those characters were very interesting.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's villains in general are like really good. So, yeah.
I think we've talked about that before.
We have.
Yeah. All right. So
so my interpretation of the question was to just name a few characters from the teams. And as I mentioned earlier, I've only seen the second movie, The Suicide Squad. So obviously my characters that I've chosen to talk about are from that movie. But first I want to talk about Rick Flag, who is kind of the assigned military operator and commander of the team. He appears in both movies in the modern DC universe. But actually his sometimes father, sometimes grandfather, Rick Flag Sr., which is not mentioned in the movies at all, but in a little research I did, was in the original Suicide Squad from like the 50s and 60s. And then, in some iterations, he's the son, sometimes he's the grandson, but in the movies, this is Rick Flag Jr. And I just thought he'd be really good as a leader because, he's kind of an expert in military tactics, as well as being a pilot too. So, you need someone who has that kind of strong strategy and can...
it's like Captain America.
Yeah, basically, but he's just not a super soldier. The next character I wanted to bring up was Bloodsport, who also, similar to Rick Flag, is not a superhuman, but he is incredibly strong and just like can take a lot.
It's a really buff guy.
He has like really strong reflexes and senses, and actually, he from what I read, like got the attention of Superman. Like Superman was able to like detect his like reflexes and all of that too. So even though he's just a regular human, he's not just a regular human,
but the Flash is nothing to him.
He is like an accurate shooter as well and is ambidextrous. But he does have his own issues too. I think the reason why he was in jail is he evaded the Vietnam War draft, and kind of has some mental issues because his brother went to the Vietnam War on his behalf as him, kind of like a Mulan story, but not. And I chose Bloodsport because of kind of a scene or just the relationship he has with my third character in the movie, Ratcatcher 2, who I think would be great and kind of serves this purpose in the movie as the person who kind of brings everyone together, which is very important in a team. Ratcatcher 2, she has kind of an underrated maybe power of being able to communicate with rats, which I think a lot of people are just like, what is that going to do? But, ultimately it saved them in the end of the second movie.
Rats are disgusting, man. Like they got those teeth and
and they eat the nervous system of like that giant starfish at the end. But she was able to really like bring the team together and have individual connections with each of them, which I think is just really important. And I think she seems a little less evil than her dad, Ratcatcher 1, who I think like was the cause of a lot of plagues and stuff with the rats. And then finally, from the team that I'm describing, I chose Harley Quinn, who I think most people are familiar with. Both from like Batman cartoons and stuff to her own.
I know what
She
you're
originated.
I know what you're appealing to. Appealing to this judge.
I mean, that's the purpose of this debate, right? No.
That's true.
So I guess people will probably know her background as a former psychologist and fell in love with the Joker and all this stuff. But I think she really stands on her own, and I think that's proven in not only in the Suicide Squad with her kind of saving herself. She killed a bunch of guys that were holding her captive. But she really, in this film, she like really wants to be on her own and independent, and kind of make better decisions about her love life too. And with her spinoff,
maybe instead of Mr. J, she'll go with Mr. M over here.
Who knows? And then I did just want to shout out, just even though I didn't see the first movie, I think another aspect of the team that might be needed, because I did choose pretty much 75% team that's just regular humans. Someone who does have a little bit more power just in case.
Shark.
Not the shark, which
Rocky Balboa.
But there's actually a character in the first movie called Katana. And she really helps win at the end because she's able to absorb the souls.
So let's get to our final question, the legal question. Why is your position legally better? You can prove this through circumstantial evidence or however you want to. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go. So I'd mentioned the Red Hulk, Harrison Ford. There's a case in 2014 where Ford was injured when he was struck by a metal door on the set of Star Wars The Force Awakens. So not really a Star Wars movie, but still, he broke his leg and he was pinned down. The production company that was responsible for the door, Foodless Productions out of the UK, was heavily fined. In the grand scheme of things, maybe not. $2 million by a British court for breaching safety regulations and getting Han Solo's leg fucked up.
For a door, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's not as bad as a chair, but it was pretty bad. Foodless pleaded guilty to two charges brought by the health and safety executive. That's probably karma for all the shit talking he did about Star Wars when really it was the best thing he's got. And I don't even care about Indiana Jones. So don't come at me with that.
I don't want that.
For Suicide Squad, I was kind of going a little more hypothetical. So I was thinking, when I was thinking about answering this question, I was wondering if creating a Suicide Squad in real life would be legal. And I actually stumbled upon an article written in 2021 from Adam Adler for the Escapist magazine called "The Suicide Squad is Legal, Pretty Much: How to Lawfully Build One." So it kind of aligned exactly where I was thinking. But basically, he kind of goes into this article about what some objections to creating a Suicide Squad would be and why it would be illegal, and then kind of also goes into how you can get around those. But basically, the reasons he mentions are: one, it would allow criminals to avoid their prison sentences. 2, it would allow felons to possess dangerous firearms. 3, murder is illegal. So, and that includes implanting explosive devices in someone's brain. And then finally, the Suicide Squad's missions often involve the violation of U.S. law, the law of other countries, and international law. And
Is that what Elon Musk is trying to implant?
I don't know. You have to ask him. I have his email address if you need it. It was posted online.
Don't go to that email address.
So, he kind of goes into the article more in depth about while each of these objections are valid, he does kind of explore how, if you really examine this closely, you probably could find ways around it, or the illegality of it may not be as high of a burden to creating something like this. And I think we do have concrete examples of government entities kind of going around the law as
using
well.
Prison labor.
Yeah, prison labor. Using incarcerated folks for fighting fires, fighting each other, free labor. But yeah, that was my question, or my answer to question 3.
All right. Well, let's briefly close in as short as you can. A few sentences. Attack the other side.
Yeah, I'll be very brief. DC sucks. Marvel's better. The superheroes, supervillains that are on my teams are better. And Harley Quinn, I mean, do they ever explain how she knows how to do all this stuff? She was a psychiatrist. So it just very, I don't know. It just kind of gets me the wrong way.
And we?
Yeah, so, I think I personally didn't know much about Thunderbolts, and to be honest, the last 5 years ago, I didn't know much about Suicide Squad either. But I think they are very similar. I think what's lacking on the Thunderbolts is kind of this deeper discussion and exploration of both morality and mortality that is explored in the Suicide Squad. So I think that's why it's better.
Okay. Yeah, I think, I was always a Marvel person growing up. I did read comics growing up. But
can't pretend.
Lately, I haven't really gotten into a lot of the MCU movies. Now, Suicide Squad is interesting because it did have a first installment that was, from what I understand, pretty bad. But the second one, it seems like they course corrected. It seemed like to be a good reboot of the whole thing. I mean, Thunderbolts, it remains to be seen how it is. But what I really liked about the Suicide Squad James Gunn movie is that it felt really like a comic book in the way these movies haven't been. For me, a lot of the time, it's very colorful. There's a lot of kind of ridiculous stuff in it, and it seems so far like the Thunderbolts is like, the way you've described the comic versions of it seems a lot more interesting. You could have this Venom with guns and stuff, but you kind of have this sort of forced into this MCU kind of box. Mm-hmm. So I think so far, I will, based on what I've seen and heard so far, I will give it to Wii for Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think some of that is Venom is still Sony.
Yeah.
There's some legal. I guess I could have put that in my legal stuff.
Some of the, oh yeah, true. But so there's
Deadpool's got his own stuff going on with Wolverine, and that would have been, it kind of makes sense of how the MCU has been kind of evolving to put this team together, just because it's playing off of the other movies that have come. But yes, the Suicide Squad, it's pretty interesting. James Gunn is really good at what he does.
Yeah.
The Guardians of the Galaxy, when that came out, it kind of did an uptick for the MCU.
Snyder fanboy who thinks he's rooting.
Fuck that guy.
All right, that's been OTR Debate.
Thank you.
That'll be debate for another day. Pizza Lobo. Yeah. Decided to actually eat a meal. I should have eaten lunch.